Hey y'all, it is update time. Today is December 5th, 2014. Yes, I am several days late on my update video, but I'm going to go ahead and make one now, and pretty soon my next one will be coming out too. But this is going to stand in for my week 25 post-op video from my gastric bypass surgery. So last update, I weighed in at 198.2 on Tuesday, which is my actual day, I did weigh. On Tuesday, I weighed 196.4 for a total week's loss of 1.8 pounds and a total loss since my surgery of 76.6 pounds. So those are all really wonderful numbers. I had originally wanted to be 75 pounds down by Thanksgiving. I'm going to say I made it. I did not take my scale, so I don't actually know like 100% that I made it, but I'm gonna say I did because I'm less than that, and you know, I did not take my scale, so I don't know truly if I made it or not, but I did feel like I lost weight. I felt like I fit in a couple of shirts a little bit better. They weren't as, you know, tight as on my arms, so I'm gonna say I made it to that goal. Okay, so we went to Georgia this year for Thanksgiving. I was a little bit anxious about the whole food situation, and I am glad to report I had no problems. I ate basically what I wanted to on Thanksgiving. I had turkey, I had broccoli and cheese cornbread stuffing, I had, you know, just a lot of the things that I wanted. I really honestly ate very, very little. I was able to make the meal more about just family and friends and less about the food. So that was a new experience for me forever. And that was nice, and I look forward to many more Thanksgivings where the food is not the issue or the problem. So exercise, we went to a really, really small town. They did not have LA Fitness, so I wasn't able to get to the gym. I did go for a walk 1 or 2 days while I was there, and I forgot, y'all, how hard it is to walk in the cold weather. My lungs and my throat were on fire because it was so cold. So kudos to all of you up north who work out outside, because that is ridiculous. So it's nice to be back in Florida. The weather is like, I don't know, 78 degrees, and you know, the day we got home, I was back in shorts and flip-flops. So alright, so the reason why this video is late is we got back Monday night, went to my mom and dad's house to pick up our dog Toby. They were watching him for the week we were gone, and he had been running like a mad dog outside and had kind of like punctured a spot in his like upper thigh area. So I looked at it and I was like, oh, this looks horrible. We've got to take him to the vet. So we took him to the vet, and the vet was like, this is serious. He's going to need surgery tonight. So our poor little dog, he's a mix. I'll have to show a picture of him sometime, but he's a mix between a lab and a basset hound. So he's kind of disproportional. He's short legged, long body. So anyway, so he had to have surgery, and I mean, it's just been drama. He has to wear that horrible cone of shame on his head to keep from picking at the staples and the sutures that they put in. So that is why I have not gotten a video up. I have been exhausted with him, and I mean, it's just, and I'm back to work already. So I mean, it has just been one of those the past couple of days that I really was hoping that this, you know, couple of days at home without work was going to be relaxing, and it did not turn into that. But that's okay. I guess that's just life, and generally my life is pretty calm, so I can't really complain about a couple of rough days. So anyways, alright, so I told you guys I wanted to talk about food addiction, and I'm going to go ahead and do it now. Hopefully my thoughts come out in a way that you guys understand and is, I don't know, just makes sense for you guys. So part of, I've said before, I feel like my issue with food is more than just a little issue with food. I don't feel like you could possibly gain 120 pounds of excess weight because you have a little problem with food. I feel like my food problem is a significant one. To have gained 120 pounds of excess weight, I'm gonna say I have a food addiction problem, and I feel like I truly do. Now, I have never been to any kind of rehab courses or, addiction classes, which I think probably I should. I think it'd be good to have a more clinical overview of addiction because I've never truly studied it. I've never gotten into it, so I don't know. So while we were in Georgia, we got to visit my brother-in-law, my husband's brother, who is currently in a state prison. Now, the state prison is made up of several different categories. There is the actual maximum security state prison. All of it is like within the same razor wire fence. So, I mean, it's all prison, state prison property. But they do have several categories. So there is the part where, people are there for really long term, years and years of, whatever crime they committed. He is in the part where it's more as a drug rehab place where you are going to classes, you're taking courses on trying to figure out, that kind of aspect of it, which that's where he is. We got to visit him, and the whole time I was there, he was telling us a little bit of what's been going on and stuff, and the whole time I was there, it just became a reality to me about my addiction. Now, my addiction is not going to get me into a rehab place. It is not going to get me into a prison, sort of, per se, but my addiction is one that I think a lot of us struggle with and goes untreated. Mine has gone untreated for almost 27 years now. And it's time to work on it. It's time for me to deal with this addiction and get away from it. So while I was there visiting my brother-in-law, it really, a lot of these thoughts just kept coming through my head of how similar our problems are. Even though mine is not a drug-related problem, I still have an addiction. And I feel like addiction can be broken up into several categories. I feel like you have addictions that are a necessary part of life, and then you have addictions that are not necessary. And what I mean by that, unnecessary addictions are things like drugs, alcohol, smoking. I don't know, I'm not going to name them all, so, I'm giving very general, sorry guys, I'm giving very general overviews of things, so don't be like, I'm not being nitpicky, I'm just kind of giving you some thoughts. So those are addictions to me that I feel like are unnecessary. Your body does not need alcohol to survive every single day. And then I feel like there are addictions that are necessary. Things like food. You can't be like, well, this is the last day I'm ever going to eat, so, addiction fixed. No, that's not going to work. Shopping can become an addiction, but it's kind of a necessary one. You are going to eventually have to go shopping for something. Groceries. Things that you need to survive. So I feel like there's categories of addiction. And my addiction, I feel like, is hard because, like I said, you can't just say, no, I'm never going to eat again. You still have to eat, but you have to figure out how to do it correctly and how to do it in a non-addictive way. So I was sort of likening my addiction to, my brother-in-law is going to be getting out pretty soon. I believe the end of this month or beginning of next month, he will be out and back to normal life. And as I was thinking about that for him, I was thinking about, I'm kind of at the halfway mark. I'm getting close to being released from my prison, or rehab place, whatever you want to call it, which is the weight loss, the actual physical weight loss is almost done. But that's only the beginning of my process. And I talked about this last week, I believe, about how I've lost the weight before. This isn't new. Me losing weight isn't new. I've done this my whole life. The new part is me maintaining the weight loss. And I feel like, just like my brother-in-law who's been there, he's been taking classes, he's had to be learning, how to address your stress in a, not going to your addiction. How do you address your stress in a non-addiction method? I feel like I'm having to do the same thing. I feel like I'm having to say, okay, when I am stressed, I can't fix it with food. And ultimately, the food doesn't fix the stress. It is simply getting that byproduct, that high from eating, that was fixing my stress. I can't do that now. I don't want to do that now. So what do I have to do? How do I address stress in a healthy way? Okay, so how do I address holidays in a healthy way? How do I address sadness in a healthy way? And so I feel like at this point in my rehab, I am having to go forward and say, okay, this is how I used to address the issue of stress. How am I going to address it now in a way that is healthy, in a way that is going to get me closer to my goal and keep me at my goal weight? How am I going to do that? So I feel like I'm not there yet, but I feel like I'm almost going to be released from my rehab, and being put back into the real world situations. And you know, this holiday, this Thanksgiving, I was really nervous about it going into it. I wasn't sure how I was going to react to all of the quantities of food again, and a lot of the triggers and stuff that used to be there. I didn't have any problems. Now, this is the first year. I'm really, really strict. I don't know what 5 years down the road is going to look like. I hope that my stamina and my determination is going to be the same 5 years from now, but I don't know. But that's what I'm trying to work on now, is how am I going to do that? How am I 5 years down the road going to still have the same determination that I do this year? You know, and it gave me confidence that this year for Thanksgiving, I did great. I had no problems. I had no triggers. I had no periods of time where I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? I passed with flying colors, y'all. And that is such an encouragement that Christmas, I'm not even worried about Christmas. I mean, I'm going to plan for it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not just going to, wing it. I'm going to plan for it, but I'm not nervous. And I feel like every right decision I've been making along this path in this area of my life is going to continue, and I think it's that way for any addiction. I feel like when you address the issue and you start making those right decisions, those good decisions, that just it just makes that resolve better and better. And so it's easier to make the right decisions when you're continuing to make good choices. And I know after all of my videos, I always say keep making good choices, because that's my motto for my life, is that it's just a whole bunch of good choices that put us where we want to be. So that was kind of my spiel on food addiction and how I feel like I'm kind of in a rehab right now. I've got a lot of restriction with my stomach. I'm learning a lot of new tools and how to address different issues, but pretty soon I'm going to be out of this rehab and into real life, and I've got to make this a new life, and so for all of us who have addictions, whether it be addictions that are necessary, food, shopping, those kind of addictions, or whether it be unnecessary addictions with drugs, alcohol, smoking, we can do this. We just have to keep making good choices, one right after the other. And, hopefully it will continue to get us to where we want to be and the people we want to be. So, anyways, this is the end of week 25. You guys will be hearing from me pretty soon for week 26. Hope you guys have had a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I'll talk with you all later. Bye.